It's the opportunity for a student going into next year that is grades 7 through 12, if he or she wants to take college classes for both high school and college credit. It's a good program, and I think if I talk to some of the students that are doing it already, they'd say it's a great program. But the big thing I want to make sure that we all leave here today is understanding it and realizing it may not be for everybody, or it may not be good for my son or daughter this year, but maybe it's something great for them in a year or two. And that's the kind of things that you as parents and student have to work out. I'm going to try to give you the information as briefly as possible. Some of you may have heard this already in previous years because of a older son or daughter going through it, or maybe you have a son or daughter that's in it right now, or the student might even be here that's in it right now, but you just want to make sure you have an understanding of everything that's going on. For the most part, nothing has changed. I'll try to run down it as quickly as possible, but if you have a question, please ask it, all right? I would rather you leave here having a good understanding than, oh, why didn't I ask that? Acceptance is the decision, and I'm going to pretty much go down the first page of this. That first page is yours to keep. That's kind of a summary of the general information on this. Acceptance is the decision of the college or university, not Liberty Union High School, all right? I have no control on saying, yes, this person's in, no, this person isn't. That's strictly a college decision. As I go down through this checklist, you will get to understand that your son or daughter or the students that are here are actually becoming college students. College reviews the following: GPA, grade point average, or GPA in certain specific classes. For example, young man is a student, is taking CCP math, but he wasn't ready yet to take CCP English. Opposite of that could be a student taking CCP English or psychology or whatever the case may be, but he or she's not ready to take the math yet. So they look at overall GPA and they look at core courses like English and math, things of that nature. College ready, based on test scores they will look at. Student taking the ACT or the SAT. You can see the college readiness scores listed there. Now, you don't have to run out and take it right away thinking, oh, I have to get the ACT or the SAT done. There's also a placement test called the AccuPlacer that is given by the individual colleges. And it can be used as a college readiness measurement, all right? Because I know especially if there's anybody in here that's going to be just a sophomore on back to 7th grade, you're thinking, hasn't taken the ACT or the SAT yet. Well, there is the category of the AccuPlacer, all right? So don't panic on the testing. The way we work the AccuPlacer for Zane State College, we offer classes here through Zane State College, Columbus State Community College, right here in our building. As a result, Zane State College will have somebody come out sometime in June and even administer the AccuPlacer to our students, so you do not have to go into Zanesville and take it at Zane State. It's usually about the second week or so of June. Now, I know there's always exceptions that some students or parents cannot make that testing because of a vacation or something like that, but the majority of our students have been able to, and as a result, they can find out right away if they're college ready to continue pursuing the CCP or if they need to wait and take the AccuPlacer again at the later date. Questions on that? The cost. We assume the cost of just about everything comes out of the state funding that would come to Liberty Union for your son or daughter or for the students that are here. That's really, really a great situation for you financially. As a result, though, students have to be very responsible, because if you receive an F in a class or no credit in a class, or if you drop the class after the deadline date, then you have to pay for it. And it's very important that you realize that. And to give you an idea, our in-house classes here from Zane State are around $43 a credit hour. So that's about $125 for a class. If you're taking an online class through Zane State, it's $100 a credit hour. That's $300 a class. If you're taking a class on campus or through, for example, OUL, it's around $166 a credit hour. So now you're getting close to $500 a course. So it's very important that in thinking about doing this, the student takes it very seriously and understands, if I'm going to do this, I'm a college student, I have to pass the course. You have the first 16 days to consider dropping it before you're past the drop deadline. If you drop after that deadline, you have to pay for it. And that's, 15 days. And that's 15 straight days, weekends included. That's just not counting school days, all right? So you have a little bit of a grace period for the student to think about, is this class good or bad for me? Books, very limited in use of books anymore. Pretty much things being done online. But any of those kind of supplies, we pay for them. The difference is they have to be returned to us. They're not yours to keep. Unless it's a workbook that you're writing in, then obviously we can't use it again. But for example, a popular class with our students is online Intro to Psychology. If there's a book for Intro to Psychology, we have a ton of them in our library. So we ask the students to check with Ms. Harrison in our library, and if we have it, you use the one we have. If we're out of them or we don't have it, then of course it's purchased for the student as a new book. But I want to emphasize that is Liberty Union's property or the college's property if it's stuff done online, and we have to return it to them. The application process. In a few minutes here, or if you want to look at them right now, there's additional pages after that information page. Once you turn those pages into me, I will then give the student the application and the steps to follow for the college they're applying to. Because you have to apply for each individual college. For example, trying to think, young man this year, OSU Newark took a class, OUL took a class, taking classes through Zane State. As a result, he has to apply to each one of those colleges to be a college student for each one of those universities or colleges. So I will then give the student each application step for each individual college that he or she is applying to. So if you look through that little packet I gave you, there are a couple pages you have to fill out. That first page that you fill out and turn into me is a state form that I have to have on file here, all right? And you just answer each individual question that is there. The second page is my created page. That's the page that acknowledgement, I think it's called. And I'm asking you there, and I'm asking the student there, what school or college are you interested in applying to? For example, you could check off, I just want to do Zane State College classes here at the high school. Or you could be checking off, I want to do OUL. Or I already have a student talking to me for next year, COTC, Central Ohio Technical College, because that's where she wants to go to college after graduation. So when she turns this into me, she will put COTC. By me getting that form, I then know what application to give the student, okay? And then I believe there's a third page there. The third page lists the qualifications that are looked at by the colleges for the AccuPlacer or other means of a student being accepted. For example, if there's anybody in here that's going to be a junior next year and you want to take Comp 1 through Zane State here in the high school, Well, if you're in advanced English 10 and you finish with a B or higher, you're qualified, all right? So that's what I tried to do on that last page, is to give you a general idea of what qualifications the colleges look at. Questions on that? The thing I kind of disagree with on Zane State is a student can have an A in English 10 and not qualify because it's just called English 10. They would then have to take the AccuPlacer, but that is the college's decision. If a student has a B or higher in Algebra 1, he or she qualifies to take the Zane State College statistics here without the AccuPlacer. So all I'm trying to do on that last page there is give you an idea of what the colleges look at in terms of trying to determine if a student qualifies for a class through CCP. Questions so far? I kind of go fast, and it's one of these things, and I say this every year, then I'm heading home, and I think, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that, I forgot this. I'm just trying to make sure I get the highlights to you. Yes? If they, let's say a 7th or 8th grader qualifies to take Comp 1 with us, then I can say they can come here to take Comp 1 in our class as long as we can work out all the logistics with their schedule at the middle school. And I have to say it that way because I can't override what the middle school has for that student. And we've worked it out for some students to take Comp here. We've worked it out for some students to take the statistics here. That's one of those one-on-one things we have to look at. And there's always the option of a middle school student taking a CCP class online also. And see, I can say it in general to all students. I'll tell high school students, you can take any classes that you qualify for, and the college has accepted you to take it, but first we have to make sure it doesn't interfere with what you have to take here. The priority is to graduate from high school. Second priority is to get as many college credits as you can. That's great. But I always jokingly will tell a student, I don't want you to have 30 college credits, but you're sitting with me at commencement. I want you to graduate from high school. So that's why, in a sense, I try to look at every student individually. Sometimes I have to get a hold of that student and say, hey, we got to meet. We got to talk. And if it's a lower grade level student, it might even involve mom, dad, or parent, or somebody coming in to talk. All right, so that's a real individual thing there. A question I always get, is this great for my kid? Is this great for my son or daughter? I can't answer that. Might be great for this person's son or daughter. This person's son or daughter might not yet be ready. It's a real individual thing that we have to look at on an individual basis. Questions further, anything? Yes? Yeah, each college offers the AccuPlacer. Zane State's the only one that will come here and give it directly to our students. And here I'll give you the reason why. This year for Zane State College, we had 33 students taking math. They were taking college statistics, college algebra, college pre-calculus, college calculus. We had 28 students at Zane State College taking Composition 1, Composition 2. Online students for Zane State with us. First semester, 21 LU students took online with Zane State. 26 students for the second semester. So we're giving them a lot of students in a sense, but in return, they're trying to accommodate as much as possible. And like I said, what we've done in the past, and it's usually $10 to take the AccuPlacer, but when they come here to give it to our students, they do not charge. Now, if the student has to go there and take it because they missed our testing, or he or she didn't score well enough so they want to take a retest, then you would have to maybe pay the $10. But the first one is free. In terms of the question with OU, OU offers the AccuPlacer, but you make that arrangement with them. or OSU York, make the arrangements with them. One of the things the colleges are very good at, though, if a student took Accuplacer through Zane State with us, you could have those scores sent from Zane State to a particularly different college, all right? You know, they'll accept it. They won't accept it from me, obviously. They want it to come from the college that it was taken at. They want an official score sheet. Does that kind of help you out there with that question? When eventually you want to turn these forms into me, I'll start taking them on Monday. I will not be in the office tomorrow, and these kinds of forms, I do not like to have somebody giving them to one of the secretaries and hope they go to my mailbox, you know. I'll take them starting Monday. Then if you give it to a secretary up front, I know that Denise or Lynette are going to walk back and hand them to me, because obviously we don't want to lose these. Yes? Yeah, that's fine. Maybe drop me an email or a quick phone call to watch out for it. Thank you. Yeah, that would help out well. So if you have 3, 4, 5, whatever the case might be. They are due by April 1st. Now, I don't want to get into saying, oh, all right, I'll take it. So if I looked at the calendar correctly, April 1st is a Tuesday. So I will take these forms all the way up to April 4th, Friday. All right? So I am giving you some flexibility there to really talk these things over. But what I can't get into is, you know, it's April 15th or 16th, and will you take my form? At some point, I have to stick to a cutoff. So the state says April 1st. I'll extend LU's cutoff date, to April 4th, all right? That gives you, students, parents, some time to really talk it over, or even teachers or people that you like to talk to about these kind of things. Male students, this is important, especially with Zane State, because they hold you to this. Any male student starting a semester and is 18 or older, or will be 18 during that semester, must register with the Selective Service. And what will happen is, because I had 4 students this year, 4 young men each got a letter saying you owe Zane State College $600 and some. And then I find out, well, they registered for the Selective Service, but they didn't give the Selective Service information number to me so I could send it to Zane State, or they didn't send it to Zane State themselves. So if you are a male student or the parent of a male student, and he is going to be 18 as he is in a CCP program, he must register for the Selective Service. And that's not really a big deal, because when you get to filling out your applications for FAFSA, for financial aid for college after high school graduation, a male student has to register for Selective Service. So all you're doing is registering, and you got it over with. Well, let's say the student turns 18 in October of the first semester. Then he has to be registered. Well, as long as he's registered within that semester. Now, let's say he's going to turn 18 in February for the spring semester. He's all right for the fall semester, but then for the spring semester, he has to be registered. I even put on the information sheet the online registration site for any of the male students or their parents. As I started to say earlier, CCP means getting or receiving both high school and college credits. You can use CCP courses for required courses. That's always been a question that comes up. For example, if you took Comp 1 with us here as a junior, first semester Comp 1, that's your junior English. If you take Comp 2, second semester as a junior, you have your senior English out of the way. Okay? Because, and I have it somewhere on the sheet, any college credit class that is 3 credit hours or more equals 1 high school credit. So comp is a 3 college credit hour class, so it equals 1 high school credit. If it's a 4 or 5 hour class, because it's a lab in science, it's still only 1 high school credit. That's the state's decision, all right? That doesn't mean a student can't take our English classes if he or she wants to. I'm just using that as an example of how a CCP class can be used to meet graduation requirements, core courses. Another example, student takes Spanish 1 freshman year, Spanish 2 sophomore year. He or she's after the honors diploma, which needs 3 years of Spanish. Well, we offer Spanish through Columbus State Community College. So that student could take Spanish to continue through the CCP program, and that counts towards their credits towards the honors diploma. So there's a number of things that can be looked at for using these credits. I always tell the student and or the parent, check with me. Just let's be sure, let's be certain, okay? That's very important because it is your future. Process of granting credits, as I said earlier, 3 or more hours, college hours, is 1 high school credit. If it's a 2-hour class, it's 0.66 high school credits, 0.667. For example, Zane State College offers a class called Medical Terminology. A high number of our students take it. They're using it as a health credit if they do not have their health credit already, or they're interested in going into a particular health field, and that's going to be a requirement. So they take the class and they receive 2 college credit hours, but for high school they only receive 0.667. All right, and that's how it scales down in the credit hour system. Questions? The way of awarding credits, it'll appear on a high school transcript like Zane State College algebra or Columbus State Community College Spanish, 1 high school credit hour, A, each class. That's a good student. But that also means the student then also has a college transcript. So now when a student's a senior, and I have this happening quite often, I even have some students who have graduated a year or 2 ago, and they'll say, how do I get my Columbus State credits? Or how do I get my Zane State credits? The college credit transcript, you have to contact the college for it, all right? Yes, I'll send the high school transcript, and that could be used by another college for accepting you, but they're not going to give you college credits off a high school transcript. You then have to contact whether it's OSU or OUL or Zane State to get the college transcript. But again, I try to walk the student through that the first time that question does come up. You are permitted as a student to take 30 hours a year. Now that sounds really great, but that's not just 30 college hours. You have to include any high school credits. I think I have this on that information sheet. The formula, you take 30, and then you take the high school credits and multiply it times 3. For example, this student I'm looking at, my sample, took 4 high school credits. So that's 30 minus 12. He or she is eligible to take 18 college hours, all right? Does that make sense? It's a little confusing, and again, that's one of those things I always tell the student, before you hit the yes, that's what I'm taking button, if you're not sure, check with me. But it's a very simple formula, 30 minus the high school credits times 3, then that tells you the total college credits they're allowed to take. And I think this is a compliment to some of our students that are now going through CCP. I believe it's like 6 or 7 students. They're going over that 30, but they're saying, I'll pay for the extra hours because they're charged the CCP hour rate. That's still a pretty good bargain. You know, if you're going to take an extra couple classes and it may cost you, some students, as high as $600 or $700, but that's still cheaper than when you're going to pay for those classes when you go away to college, so to speak. And that is always an option. I want to throw that out there. You don't just have to pay because you had an F on a class. The positive is you can pay if you're going over that 30 and you want to take more hours, all right? And I think that's a compliment to those kinds of students that we have going through this. Impact on graduation. As I said, CCP courses can be used for required courses. They also can be used for your electives. Now, you all heard of the end of course exams, right? You can use a CCP course in substitution for an end of course exam in history and in government, all right? You still have to take the ELA 2 even if you're taking the comp classes. But I've yet to see a student take comp 1 or 2 and not score well on an end of course exam in English, you know what I'm saying? But that's a state requirement. But like I had 2 students this year took an American Government Political Science course. He and she, the 2 students, they do not have to take the end of course exam in government. They're just going to substitute, and they both had A's. They'll substitute that A. I'll put it into the computer as a substitution. High school eligibility. Who are athletes? Any athletes? This is important for you. In figuring out eligibility, a CCP course of 2 credit hours or more counts as 2 for eligibility. So for example, that student took Comp 1, and I'm counting for eligibility. I look at Comp 1, I go 1, 2, all right? Not just 1, it counts double. So a student could take 3 CCP classes, and if they're 2 hours or more, even though he or she only took 3 classes, they're eligible because those 3 classes equals 6 for eligibility. Those that are athletes, is that clear to you? Any questions on that? Now that does not mean you're getting double credit. That just means for eligibility purposes, the state allows us to count it twice. And the feelings on that, you're taking difficult college classes. Also, you could be taking the classes, for example, at OUL, so we have to allow for travel time. So that's the break that is given to athletes by the state in counting eligibility. I like to stress this to the students, also parents. The student is both a high school student and a college student, all right? There's no working around that. If you decide to do this and you have not yet started, as you're thinking about doing this, you must realize you have become a college student. You could be a college student at Zane State, Ohio State, OUL, Columbus State, or you could be a college student at Auburn. You are a college student. As a result, and this is now important for parents, you are not going to see grades in progress book. You are not going to get any kind of first quarter, second quarter report card because colleges do not do that. Now there is a form, it's called FERPA, that I have on file for the various colleges that if the student and parents fill it out, turn it in to me, I give a copy to our teachers here if it's an in-house class, I send a copy to the colleges, then that college instructor can talk to you about your son or daughter. All right? And that's kind of a stickler because I'll have parents call and say, excuse me, I was looking in progress book and I saw English class grade, math class grade, history class grade, but he took psychology and there's no grade for it. Well, it's a CCP course. There is not a progress book grade until the end of the semester. And we have to kind of backlog it. Questions on that? It stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. On my sheet, it's number 14, but I think my sheet might be a little different than yours. But I do have those for the particular college, and if it's a college I don't have one for, I can get it for you if you request it. Students, possible schedule conflict. Your high school schedule takes precedence. If I can work your schedule out by moving a class from first period to eighth period or something like that, I will to help you out. But if I can't move that class, then you have to choose another college class. Because again, I'll go back to one of my earlier statements. Your goal is to graduate from high school first. And that's again why you should get to know me. Because we can talk about this, and I talk to the students, 2 or 3 times at the beginning of the year and then always right after Christmas, because we're wanting to make sure we have everything in line. Transportation. If your son or daughter or the students here, if you are taking a class on campus, that is your responsibility. If you are taking a class, for example, at OUL, we don't run buses to OUL. You have to get there on your own. But it's interesting because very few of our students are now going on campus. Most of them are taking online classes. It's taken over. I think back now, I don't know if I could do it. Maybe it's an age thing. I'm not thinking about looking at a computer and taking a class. But I watch these students because we have what is called CCP Study Hall. And you can walk into our high school and you can see in the cafeteria and you think, oh, those 6 or 7 kids are playing games on their computers. No, they're taking their CCP class online. But they are very successful with it. And again, that's a real personal thing. I know maybe some of the parents might feel like I do, but I just don't know if I could take a class online. I guess if I had to. But when I have a computer problem in my office, I usually flag down a student and they straighten it out in a hurry for me. I mean, young people today, they are sharp with computers. You have support service. You have support service here. You have support service through your colleges. You're looking at your support service here, all right? I'm your academic advisor for making sure we stay on track for graduation. When you apply and if you are accepted and if you decide to attend, those particular colleges will have somebody assigned to work with you. Let me run down quickly CCP courses taught here. Zane State College, I already mentioned, Comp 1, Comp 2. We have a math sequence. Statistics, college algebra, that's 1 year. Pre-calculus, calculus, that's a 2nd year. Columbus State Community College, we have Spanish 1, Spanish 2. I always forget to mention this, but we now have a program tied in with the University of Cincinnati. Certain computer classes that you take here with Mrs. Lehman in our IT program, and then if you decide to go to the University of Cincinnati, they'll count a lot of those classes as college credits. That's an individual, different kind of situation where you, I, and Mrs. Lehman have to sit down and make sure we work that out properly. We have 2 students at Cincinnati doing that, or have done that in the past, so it's pretty neat. And lastly, it should be on your information sheet, the Ohio Means Jobs. That is a good search engine for looking at occupations, careers. Let's say somebody says they want to be an architect. You can use that Ohio Means Jobs. It describes what an architect does, what courses they have to take. Well, I want to go to college in, Florida. Well, then you could see what colleges in Florida have architecture as a major, that kind of thing. All right, so that has to be given to you. That's all I have formally, and I'll answer any questions. Anything. WRIT? Yeah, that's what they call it. I wanted to put it, well, actually, that's their sheet. Yeah. For Zane State, you have to take I think it's called qualitative or quantitative math, and the WRIT, that's their English version. They do both tests in the same day. I'm thinking of students that really take their time on tests, but they're still usually done within 2 hours. Yeah, they're not like you're thinking ACT where you're going to be here all day. I find us a classroom. We usually start about 9 o'clock, and I'm telling the last student goodbye 11:15. And I will get that information to students once they've applied and we know who has to take it. Okay? And again, what I will do is when the student, or if it comes from the middle school, when the forms are returned to me starting Monday, then I will, let's say you're interested in Zane State College, then I'll make sure you get the Zane State College application steps. Let's say you're interested in Columbus State, I would make sure, and let's say you're interested in both. But I like to give them out that way because I want to make sure that we're all on the same pages for the steps, because it's all done online. Applications are no longer paper. So I give you a direction or instructional sheet to follow, but the forms that have to be returned I give you because they have to be given to me, and I have to attach them to your transcript and send them in. Now, if you're a middle school student, I'm mad at you. Who's a middle school student? I have to make a transcript up for you because we don't have a high school transcript yet. I do a pretty nice job with that. I just put in A's and, and place for a signature. But I don't know why they won't have a transcript for the middle school. That would make life easier. But and I'm just kidding. I'm happy to do it. I'm just trying to have some fun on that one. I've done a few middle school over the last couple of years. We have had middle school students do this and be very successful. Again, I will stress, please make sure it's right for my student. Yes? I'll say yes, maybe. We've been able so far to work it out that the class that an individual needed was either first or second period in the morning, so we were able to have that person be dropped off here. And then all they had to do is, I don't know how they worked it out for them to go back to the middle school then. And I say it that way because in the end, that's not my decision. In the end, that's whatever the administration says they're going to do with transportation. But usually it has worked out. Anything else? No. I can't think of a college that doesn't offer them online. For our students, Zane State has been the heavy one, but I think it's because we've offered classes here from Zane State, and they become, a household name for our students. But we have students doing online through OUL or OU. We have students doing online through OSU. Well, it's funny, I say Newark, but like, for example, I received OUL schedules for our students, and the one student's taking a class, but it came to me from OU Zanesville because the professor that happens to be the online instructor, his campus is Zanesville. So even though that student is registered with OUL, that class is coming from Zanesville. So it's OU in general, OSU in general, that type of thing. Anything else? I'll stress a couple points. When you turn forms in, you're not committing to anything. It's not a contract. All you're doing is telling me you're interested in pursuing this, all right? You could call me 3 days later and say, and I've had this happen with younger students, parents will call and say, wow, we talked it over and we're going to wait one more year. That's fine. Just have to go through the steps next year. You're turning this in. You do the application steps. You take the AccuPlacer. You're accepted. You can still change your mind and say, no, I don't want to do this. You're not locked into anything. These forms are required by the state for me to have them on file. That one form, as I told you earlier, that tells me what schools you're thinking about. Okay, what if somebody did not put down their thinking about OSU and now they are? Just let me know. But at least I have something to start with, all right? Questions, other questions? I'll stress this. You can call anytime if you need to ask me something because you may leave here thinking, why didn't I ask that? Just like I told you, I'll leave here saying, why didn't I tell them that? Just give me a call or drop me an email, all right? And I'll even go as far as to say, if we need to meet again one-on-one, I have no problem with that if we can work it out. I enjoy this part of my job. I don't have any administrators here, so I can say this. I hate scheduling. you know, trying to put everybody where it's supposed to be. And the music department drives me crazy. I'm just kidding. Spanish also. But this part of my job I enjoy. You know why? You look around this room, there's no negatives in this room. You know, these are all potential to take college class students. And that's fun to work with these kind of students, whether it's this year or 2 years from now or whenever the case may be. So please, if you have a question or something comes up, just get a hold of me. And if you email me or leave a voicemail, I'm the only counselor. So maybe I don't get back to you that same day, but I'll get back to you within a day or so. So please take advantage of that. I don't have anything else formal. I'll kind of hang around here till whatever. If you have questions other than that, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. I have a morning session, Wednesday, March 12th, 7:45 in the morning. Now, I offer a morning session for any parents that maybe can't make an evening because they have to work. But I invite you, if you have a question and you want to come in that morning, I've had parents from this meeting come in for that meeting, ask me their couple questions, and then leave. So it's on that sheet that we sent home. That's an open invitation if you think you need to come in for that, all right? Now I am finished. Thank you.